Welcome to training from the Alaska Land Mobile Radio System. In this presentation, we will be discussing factors to consider when purchasing new or replacement radios for use on the ALMR system. During this training, we will discuss the responsibility of member agencies, provide you with factors to consider for new and replacement radios, and discuss the approved equipment list and acceptance test procedure for the ALMR system. In the annual membership agreement signed by agencies, there are several provisions regarding radio equipment or subscriber units in the agreement. In summary, members agree to only use radio equipment that is ALMR approved. In addition, member agencies are responsible for acquiring their own equipment, performing their own programming, and performing their own maintenance. This may be done in-house or through the use of a contracted vendor. As a reminder, for the purposes of our discussion, there are three general types of radios. Portable radios are the handheld lower power units that are typically worn on a belt or within turnout gear. Mobile radios are higher power, typically mounted within vehicles. A console or base station, which may be also called as a consolette, is a mobile unit but generally in a housing that allows for AC power to be used in a building, such as a fire station. TDMA is an acronym that stands for Time Division Multi-Access. TDMA is a radio technology that is being adopted for use in the ALMR system and is estimated to be available by late 2022 or early 2023. TDMA provides for a more efficient use of the spectrum and the system resources available. Essentially, TDMA will double the capacity at each ALMR site as long as the system is tuned up for TDMA, and the subscriber units on the individual talk groups are also enabled for TDMA. Essentially, if there is a site with 3 voice channels available, utilizing TDMA radios will change that so the same hardware that was running 3 channels can now run 6 channels, which will allow for 6 simultaneous conversations to occur at that site. Because of this advantage to the technology and the spectrum and the equipment being used, the system is being upgraded at this time to be able to support TDMA. The ALMR User Council put into place a policy that effective on January 1st, 2021, all radios that are added to the system must be TDMA capable. As we discuss procuring new equipment, we recommend that the TDMA feature be purchased and enabled at the time of purchase in order to ensure that it will work on the system throughout the transition and into the future. As a note, the User Council has also recommended a policy that requires all older radios that use the previous technology, referred to as FDMA, to be off the system by December 31st, 2026. The ALMR website, located at alaskalandmobileradio.org, holds the official approved equipment list for the system. To access the list, click on the Membership menu on the top bar and move down to the Approved Equipment section. You will see a list of mobile, portable, consolette, and aircraft radios in the options. The approved equipment list on the ALMR website is divided into mobile, portable, and aircraft radios. This list refers to radios that have gone through the Acceptance Test Procedure Process, or ATP, run by the ALMR System Management Office. ALMR does not endorse or recommend any particular make or model, but the AEL list simply refers to those that have passed the acceptance testing. If you see a radio that you are considering that is not on the approved equipment list, it may simply not have been presented for acceptance testing. Ask your radio vendor or manufacturer to contact the ALMR Operations Management Office to schedule an acceptance test procedure or to find more information. Please note that as you look at the radios that are listed on the approved equipment list, there is a notation after several of them that note TDMA capable. These radios are accepted for new adds to the system. In other words, the radio on the approved equipment list must have the notation TDMA capable in order to be added to the system at this time. Other radio models that are on this list have previously passed the acceptance test process, but either do not have the TDMA capability or that capability was not tested. There are several factors to consider when purchasing new subscriber units. The first items to consider are the use case for the radios that are being purchased and what type of environment they will be operating in. For instance, there is a different use case for law enforcement radios, fire department radios, general emergency response radios, and those that may be used by public works or used by volunteers in occasional use. If the radio needs to be in an immediate danger to life and health environment, there may be several certifications or having the radio be intrinsically safe that will be required before using the radio in those environments. Some departments or agencies may have regulatory or policy requirements that are going to guide the type of equipment that you need to purchase. As an example, there is an NFPA standard for fire department radios. Some agencies may have standardization on certain brands or certain features that are required, or there may be other procurement considerations. If your agency has standardization requirements, it may be a fairly straightforward procurement to look at the options that are available to you. However, if you don't have any existing requirements, we encourage agencies to look at the different options available in the marketplace to determine what would be the best use case and the best product for your needs. Finally, what features does your agency need now and potentially in the future? It's important to analyze the use case of your radios and determine what features and what portions of the radio capabilities are actually being used versus those features that are being sold or are included in the unit. Even though you may not use some of these now, potentially in the future, your agency may decide to utilize new technology or a new process where those features may be valuable to buy ahead of time rather than attempting to upgrade the radio at a later date. Some manufacturers may have certain features and capabilities that may require an additional purchase, more commonly with additional software or hardware that has to be purchased either with the radio or after the fact. One example of this may be flash upgrades. Some common examples of these features include using encryption, having Bluetooth capability, having connectivity besides a physical connection, such as a Wi-Fi connection or over-the-air provisioning known as OTAP, as well as TDMA capability. When evaluating radio hardware, this is where it becomes critical to identify the features that you may use in the future as well as the features you use now. Some features may be sold as a standard set, or some radios may be able to be customized so an agency isn't paying for a feature that they may not be using. Do keep in mind that it's very common for it to be more inexpensive to buy a feature up front rather than flashing it or adding it later. In addition, sometimes these functions, such as encryption, may require an additional board or an actual physical hardware piece, which is more advantageous to be purchased on the outset rather than trying to add ahead of time. So in this example, if your agency may be using encryption in the future but isn't now, it may be worthwhile to purchase that particular feature. The same with things like Bluetooth. We suggest that you consider some of the other advanced options, such as over-the-air provisioning or any type of encryption or Bluetooth or any of these types of capabilities ahead of time, especially as the ALMR system is currently being upgraded to support more newer technologies with the 2021.1 system upgrade, which is currently expected to be completed in fall of 2022. Contact the Operations Management Office for specifics. Some radio feature sets require system-side integration before they can function properly. In other words, there must be work done, such as a feature installed, hardware or software done on the ALMR system side, in order to allow the portable or mobile radios to work properly. It's important to realize that ALMR is currently a closed system. It does not connect to other systems. So in considering applications, especially those that provide gateways or provide connections to other technologies, that may not be supported in the ALMR system at this time. As a reminder, ALMR is a state, local, and federal partnership, and we use Department of Defense security protocols and approval process for all functions within the system. Therefore, any change to the system, especially one that may impact the security or reliability of the system, must go through the system change request process to be sure it complies with DoD protocols, best practices, and other regulations. The system change request process should be started before any hardware or software is purchased to ensure that the product is approved before any funds are expended. When considering new equipment, make sure that the equipment is compatible with ALMR using the approved equipment list, and make sure that any desired features that are being discussed will work prior to purchase. The Operations Management Office is always available to advise on potential purchases as they relate to the ALMR system, and can let you know whether a specific feature is approved for use on the system, if there has been a change request, or any other type of history related to that particular product. It is the goal of the ALMR Operations Management and System Management Offices to ensure that we have a smooth change request process if it's required, and to ensure that agencies are fully informed about the various features and considerations that must go into play before purchasing equipment. Because ALMR is a shared system, remember that that equipment may affect all other users on the system or may have impacts that go beyond one particular agency. At the same time, ALMR does not recommend any specific brands, any specific vendors, or any specific models of radio. It is up to the individual agencies to do their due diligence. However, we do provide information on all approved equipment through the approved equipment list on the ALMR website for member agencies to look at. We suggest that you find a radio purchasing vendor or servicing agency that can assist you. On the ALMR website, under the Membership tab, there is a list of radio servicing agencies, or you can contact the manufacturer directly for a referral. Once again, we do recommend that all agencies contact us prior to making a purchase to ensure that there will be no difficulties or problems as we go forward in the future. During this time of transition for the ALMR system, as well as with new technologies coming into play nearly every day, the ALMR Help Desk and the Operations and System Management Offices are here to assist our members. Please use the contact information on the screen prior to any radio purchase, or if you have questions about specific technologies or other items that you may be considering for your next purchase.